How delighted I was to read this headline this morning. The Great Cycle Lane U-Turn, OK? All these mad cycle lanes that have cropped up across Britain under the guise of, they're COVID-friendly over the last 4, 5, 6 months. Apparently now there's been a rebellion on the streets and some of them are going to go. Delighted to say I've got on the line now Howard Cox, who is the founder of the Fair Fuel campaign. That fights for what I would say are the silent majority of the UK's 37 million drivers who contribute, incidentally, looking at the research I've done here, the fifth largest income to the Treasury every year. Howard's with me now. Howard, good afternoon. Welcome to the show.
Good evening, Mike. It's nice to see you, mate.
Thank you very much indeed. Tell me this headline is true. The Great Cycle Lane U-Turn. Are we rebelling against these ridiculous cycle lanes that have been imposed upon us? And how soon is it going to be before they go?
Well, it is happening, but it's not happening fast enough or in sizable amounts. I mean, what's happening? There's about 200 campaigns across the country around cities and towns where people have rebelled in all different Conservative or Labour, Lib Dems, you name it. It doesn't matter. People are fed up the back teeth with these stupid, absolutely ridiculous decisions, expensive decisions. Yeah. They're actually causing congestions and causing pollution.
They are. Now, comment on this for me. I've read this from a document. The move was part of a £250 million government initiative to encourage people to travel on bicycles and minimise the use of public transport when COVID-19 threat was at its most dangerous. That does not make any sense to me. That does not make any sense at all. How was that dictum abused by local authorities?
Well, who is making these decisions? We've elected these people, both in local, in councils, local authorities, but above all, it's being driven by Grant Shapps. That's the problem. He's the one that gave them
Grant Shapps, the Conservative Minister for Transport?
Yes.
What's he doing blocking up our roads? I thought there were libertarian views in the Conservative Party to free people.
Well, this is the point. I never thought I'd see the day that the rail roads would be blocked under a Tory government. And this is really a big worry, Mike, to a lot of our supporters, because most of our supporters, when they voted for Boris, they didn't vote for a Green government. And it's virtual signalling. It's complete and utter mess.
Yeah, I think it is a complete and utter mess. Just explain to us, please, Howard, just how dreadful these situations are. For instance, I'll say to you, I was doing early morning television this week, and the TV studios kindly send you a car. Now, thank God that car picked me up at 5:45 and got me to the studio by 6:30, because I was driving up from, or the car was taking me up from Stockbroker Belt, Surrey, through South London. Roads that used to have 4 lanes now have 1. I mean, it's absolutely outrageous the way that the road has been stolen from the motorist.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Mike. I mean, what's happening, the impact is incredible, no more so on small businesses. I mean, something like 4 out of 5 businesses are now having to put up prices because of the costs of fuel, getting to people, deliveries, etc. Yeah. And our high streets are being devastated because no one's going there because of these blockades. And worst of all, the emergency services can't get through.
That's right.
That could be costing lives.
It's absolutely ridiculous. Now, I want you to explain this to me, Howard, right? Only 4% of journeys in this country are undertaken by somebody on a bicycle, OK? And yet they seem to have commandeered huge amounts of tarmac on which to do their 4% of journeys. As the drivers in this country are massive, 37 million, how have we been so weak as drivers, because I'm a driver myself, to allow us to be taken over by the nutters who want to commandeer the roads for cyclists? Why haven't we been stronger? Why have we allowed this situation to come about? We pay billions and billions for the privilege of driving our cars on the road. Why have we been suppressed like this?
Well, I have to say to you, I couldn't have put it any better. We've got 1.7 million supporters, and we've managed to get, for the last 10 years, a freeze in fuel duty. That's Fair Fuel UK's primary aim, was to do that, because we'd be paying £2 at the pumps now if it wasn't for Fair Fuel UK. So that's something which we're quite proud of. But still, 70% goes to the government. Yeah. Every time you fill up your car, 70% goes to government. And what do they do with that money? They give it back to the cyclists. And these are the sorts of things that we're very... the good news, and this is the good news, I'm working very closely with backbench MPs. Good. I can't say too much about it, but I'll make sure you get to know about it so you can set on your programme.
Yes, please.
I've got about 50 MPs who want to write to Grant Shapps to say basically putting two fingers up to his local transport policies. I can't say who they are yet, but there's a lot of very angry MPs. And as I say, cross-party, it doesn't matter what flavour you are in terms of political desire. These guys are going to get behind this. I think the headline that says "Stop this war on motorists" says 50 MPs could be a big wake-up call to Boris.
I very much hope so. The other thing I don't understand is, Howard, how come this happened all over the country at the same time? Is there some insidious national network of campaigners who are determined to strangle the motorist to death? Is it that big? Is it working on a national basis? Because all of a sudden, it didn't just happen in London, where it usually starts. It was happening in Durham and Carlisle and York. I mean, something's going on, isn't it?
Mike, you have got it spot on. There is an underlying group. Most of them are wearing lycra. Most of them are special advisors in various places across the country. Right. And the environmental group, this green virtual signalling group of people who want to actually commandeer our roads and make the internal combustion extinct, they are well financed. When you've got things like Client Earth, 27 lawyers, and they've got £14 million in the bank.
Where do they get it from? Where do they get the money from?
Well, a lot of it comes from people like Dave Gilmour selling of Pink Floyd, selling his guitars, and you've got people like Chris Martin of Coldplay. Well, these are such rich people.
I was going to say very rich people who never have a problem getting from A to B because either they've got a chauffeur or they can take a helicopter. You know, I mean,
and they don't give a damn about the cost of fuel because they can buy a £150,000 Tesla. You know, these are the sorts of things that we've got to put up with, Michael. But you're dead right. There is an underlying problem, and watch it. The worm is turning.
Yeah, well, I'm glad it is turning. And Howard, I'm so glad you've been on the show. Thank you very much indeed. Howard Cox, founder of the Fair Fuel campaign, and now concentrating on this ridiculous proliferation of cycle lanes all over the country. But good news from Howard is the worm is turning. The great cycle lane U-turn could be about to happen. I have to say I support that. I'm not against cyclists at all, but the pendulum, as it does in most campaigns, has swung far too far from the rights of the motorist, far too far over to the rights of the cyclist, and that is critically injuring the ability of towns to work. As Howard said, small traders can't work if cars can't get to their shops. Right, let's